Hey there, and welcome to Business Over Cocktails. I'm Lauren Najar, your host and hype woman, bringing you real talk about entrepreneurship. This is the podcast where we dive into the bold whys, the messy middles, and the game-changing aha moments that lead to success. You'll hear unfiltered stories from entrepreneurs, plus bite-sized solo episodes inside the Business Chaser series, where we cut through the noise and get straight to what actually drives sales, visibility, and growth. So whether you're here to get fired up or finally feel seen in your business journey, pull up a seat, pour your favorite drink, and let's have a real conversation. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the next episode of Business Over Cocktails. I'm excited to hear this one's story. I have Jess Warz here with me. She is a nail wizard, truly a nail wizard. If you follow her on Instagram, which her Instagram will be linked in the show notes, please go and follow her. I know I'm already saying that before even the episode has been aired and talked about, but it's what she does is so cool. Nail wizard and hand jobs you can tell your mom about. That is a way to get your attention to this episode. She's a salon owner, a nail artist, and she's also an educator for nail tech. So thank you so much, Jess, for being here. I'm so excited to hear about your story.
Hello, thank you for having me. I'm super excited to have this conversation.
Yeah, I love that. I love that you wanted to do this, and thank you so much for wanting to come on. And I'm excited to hear your story about just like your business and how you got involved with the nail industry. And I think that's kind of where I want to start. So like, why nails? Where did that come from?
Like a complete accident. So I was actually in nursing school for 3 years, like in the nursing program. And there was like spicy life stuff happening. So I ended up taking a semester off and I was working in a hospital as a nurse fellow. So it's like half nurse aide, half like nurse helper, I guess. And I just found myself like when we had no patients at midnight, I would be painting girls' nails like in the hospital. And obviously the manager like wasn't here for it because the unit smelled like nail polish. So my mom told me that I should go to school for hair. And I said, no, I'm too smart for that. So then I swallowed my pride and went to hair school. And I ended up doing nails just because I kept being drawn to painting people's nails, and hair school. But I mean, nails is definitely my thing. And I've been doing nails ever since.
That's so cool. You don't have like a moment where you were just like, nope, I want to do this. It just kind of like started as I'm bored at work. And then
Yeah.
now I really like this.
Yeah. I mean, I do remember one instance where, it was like cool to get your nails done because all the cool girls working at the hospital had these like neat nails. And so I started going to the salon and I wanted Hello Kitty painted on my toes. And the girl said she couldn't do it. And I thought to myself, like, why? It's so easy. And I was, like a 21-year-old, like sassy little girl. And I said, it's easy. Just do it. She says, if it's so easy, then you do it. And I sat there and like on the pedicure throne as a client, painted my toe with Hello Kitty. And I was like, that looks okay. So then I just started painting my own nails after that. And then later on, when I was like accidentally in hair school, I learned how to use professional nail products. And it's just been my thing ever since.
I love that. Now, you said you went to school for nursing. That's not necessarily the most creative thing. So,
No.
and what you do is definitely like, it's a lot different than just like painting nails. So like, I definitely want people to know that you have like true like nail art, and it's the things that you do are just incredible. Where does that come from?
So I just am like a forever student and I love learning. And to this day, I mean, the human body and like anatomy and physiology is just the coolest thing to me. Currently, I'm obsessed with like how brains work. So nursing just felt right, because when you're in high school, you don't know what you want to be when you grow up. And I was really like, my anatomy class was my favorite class. So me going into nursing school felt like the right thing. But I will say, like, the common thread is like the people. I love, love, love my patients. Like that was the part that just fueled me meeting all these people. And it was in awful circumstances because they're being hospitalized. But the people was my favorite part. So once I went into the beauty industry, the people part was my favorite part. And I loved doing hair, but I love doing nails even more. And the common thread has always been the human interaction. I love that I get to hang out with somebody for like 1 to 4 hours, holding your hand, like holding space and sharing stories, sharing art, getting to know each other, learning from each other. It is like the coolest thing. And then I accidentally make money doing it. Like, what an awesome job.
I love that. I feel the same and I resonate a lot with what you just said about like the money is the icing on the cake. You see like the impact that you are giving someone or the like you said holding space for them just to, like vent because I feel like a lot of times like hair and nails or any kind of things in the beauty industry like people are very vulnerable after maybe like a busy day or talking to their nail techs or their hairstylists and it's almost like their bartender where you're spending so much time with them in such an intimate environment that they're going to naturally open up to you. And
Yeah.
I think that's so beautiful because that was my next question I was going to ask is like, how do you feel like nursing translates into this, what you do now? And it sounds like it's just the care for the people and just getting to know them, but also like caring for other people in a way.
Yeah. I would say that like the two nursing background, like the two classes, I guess, that I use every day is like my psychosocial nursing. And I only took like the first part of psychosocial nursing. So I'm not, anywhere near like a mental health professional, but they gave us a really good basis on listening to people and having people be heard and how to, I guess, like love them in a way that they need in that moment. And so those are skills that I'm so grateful to have. And then also another class that is like super practical is chemistry. We had to take chem before we got accepted into the nursing program. And I mean, chemicals are a gigantic part of my job. So I'm grateful to have that foundation.
Yeah, that's so cool that there's so much translation into industries that really don't have symmetry, like on paper. Like they're two different
Yeah.
industries. That's really cool. What were the early days of you like entering the beauty industry, specifically like the nail industry? What were those days like?
So when I was in beauty school, I thought that I had to like dress the part. And so I had to like have my hair look cool and have my nails look cool and the cool clothes and all the things. And so I started getting my nails done, even though I could not afford it. I was waitressing part time on the weekends. And like, that was not great money working so little. So I was getting my nails done and I would stretch the appointments out way further than I should have because I just didn't have the money for it. So then with little baby nail tech skills, I would fill my nails just to make them look decent in between. And that nail salon ended up offering me a job. And they offered me a job being paid commission on December 24th was my first day. So I was so busy because everybody wants Christmas and New Year's nails. But then come January, I was really slow. And I took all of my spare time to go around town, introduce myself to people, and I offered like small business owners free manicures if they sent people to me. I offered the employees discounts. I mean, like just like guerrilla marketing hardcore, because this is when social media was like kind of a thing, not really that big of a thing. Like I just opened up an Instagram account and didn't really know what I was doing. And yeah, I just worked really, really hard. And so by February, I was comfortable enough to translate to booth rent instead of commission. And then reality hit me that I had to pay booth rent with or without a client. And so by the middle, maybe by like St. Patrick's Day, I was working 4 10-hour days fully booked with a wait list.
Oh,
I did not take any time to be slow. I was very aggressive about it.
yeah. I love that energy that you had. And I hope you know that that's like special. Like, I think that in my experience and just in talking to, my hairstylist or people that I've interacted with, when you get a job at a salon, I feel like the easy thing is to rely on the salon and the salon's marketing to bring the clients to you. Or I know that maybe, I don't know if every salon does this, but like if someone leaves, then you inherit their book of business. And you don't even have to be that great to then get that, right? Like you're just there and you don't you just rely on the salon itself or the marketing team itself to bring you in that business. So like kudos to you for like going out there and just being like your thing and being a differentiator regardless of where you were working. Like I think that's so cool to hear, and I loved hearing that. When do you think it, like for me, like, and I know now we're going to get to like how you started owning your own salon, but that seems like that was kind of on your mind, like almost like the entrepreneurial skills like right out of the gate for you.
I would say, yeah, it's just, and honestly, like it comes from a place of selfishness almost because having worked, like odds and ends high school jobs and then working in healthcare, it's just not fun, right? And so now I get to wear fun clothes to work instead of wearing scrubs to work. And my clientele that I was like gifted was everybody's client that they didn't like. Oh, we'll give it to the new girl. So I'm grateful to like have that. But if they weren't like fueling my soul, I didn't want to keep that. I wanted to, get more people that just made me happy. I just wanted to screw around all day at work. I wanted to have fun all day. And so I went to places that I liked to go to. And I didn't do this intentionally. It was all on accident. It was all like my literal hobby on the weekends was like my husband and I would go out and walk around the square in Crown Point because it was all tiny shops. And I just genuinely loved it. And I genuinely knew these people. And so it was just super natural for them to in turn become clients, or their customers were like ideal client for me because we like the same things. And so I quickly realized like how full my cup is when I have an ideal client without realizing it. I was just doing what made me happy.
Yeah.
So yeah. And then that's the same thing owning a salon. I worked at a bunch of salons. I've been doing nails for 13 years and I probably worked at 7 different salons, and I was just never really happy. Even when the salon was like a good place, it just wasn't like right?
Yeah. Oh, I feel that, and I want to dig into that more. But before we dig into that, how long of it, like, I guess, like, when did you start thinking about opening up your own salon from the time that you started? And like, when did you start thinking about opening your own place?
So the first salon I was at, I was there for about 3 years, and it was towards the end of my time there that I realized I would like to own a salon one day. I just got married. I got married like while I was working there, and we knew we wanted to have kids one day, so I knew that the amount of time and energy that it would take to own a salon, like I wasn't ready to give. And so a lot of that was just like I kept chasing like the perfect salon home
Mm.
when my children were babies and toddlers, and I realized like I'm not going to find it. I have to build it. If I want to truly, again, like the selfishness, like if I just want to truly be super happy at work all the time, and I mean I am now. Like it's awesome. I don't have a bad day at work ever.
Yeah. Even if like I tell that to people all the time, like people who maybe even have an inkling of creating something on their own or leaving their 9 to 5 to build something that is now like a side hustle. I tell them all the time, like even on your worst days and as an entrepreneur, like you can think of, oh, like, maybe you have those little like limiting beliefs in a way where like, oh, what if my business burns down tomorrow? Or what if my clients just don't come back? Or what if something happens? Like, you just have this like scarcity sometimes as you're building your own salon or business in general. But even on those days where it's high stress or like days where like you have maybe some of those negative thoughts, be it any kind of day working for somebody else. And I would rather be working for myself than to have like a stressful day where you just have no control over your schedule, the time you're putting in, the raises that you get, the money that you're making. The hardest days as an entrepreneur are never as hard as working for somebody else, in my opinion.
100% agree with that. Yes.
Mhm. Yeah, it's such a huge mindset shift because it is scary, right? Like it's again like going back to like the comfortableness of, well, I don't have to go out and like talk to people. I can just rely on the salon. I don't have to build my book of business. The salon's just going to give me that. And that's the same thing with like working in 9 to 5. It's like, yeah, like I have a secure job. I know that I'm going to get paid every 2 weeks or every week, or, I don't have to worry about insurance. I don't have to worry about any of these things. But like, how unhappy are you? And like that is such a ripple effect into your family, your relationships, your kids, your mood, your health, like all of that stuff affects like how you are in like outside of work as well. It doesn't ever just stay at work. And I think just having that flexibility and even like the freedom, like you mentioned, of, having your own salon. Yes, it's a lot of work to put in, but like you also can create your own schedule. You have the freedom to do whatever it is that you want. Yes, it's a lot of work, but like, yes, please give me that work because I'm doing what I love.
Yeah, it really doesn't feel like work.
Hmm.
It feels like I'm busy, but it doesn't feel like I'm working, you know?
Yeah.
It's a labor of love.
Yes. So how long have you had your salon now?
So I started I guess we're going to call it a micro salon. So I just rented a room in a building by myself and built a salon in there in 2021. And then 10 months later, I expanded into where we are now. So I've had some form of a salon since Halloween 2021 is when I signed my lease.
Oh, I love that. I love how there's like holidays involved in your journey, like Christmas Eve, you had your first job,
I guess
Halloween.
that's true. I never thought about that. I don't remember a lot of dates, and some of them I happen to remember.
Yeah. What is it about? I know we kind of touched on this already, but what is it about owning your salon that is like your favorite thing?
So at first, like just moving out on my own and not having anybody else influence my work is wonderful. So I've been booth renting since, I like 2 months into my career. So essentially I've controlled so much, but being in somebody else's space is hard to completely control everything. So initially it was about me being able to control the mood, to control the vibe, to control like whose music I'm listening to and what conversations I have to hear in the background and stuff like that. And as the salon has expanded and more people work here, it has grown into this like I'm going to probably cry. This really special group of awesome people that I still get to, I still get to be in my own room and do my own thing and control my day essentially, but I get to do it and act like the coolest people. And everybody is just like really good at what they do. Everybody's so different. Everybody's just like a good ass human. And it's so cool. I love it so much.
You're giving me goosebumps over here. And I'm like, man, like we got tears already. But I got some
I know.
good questions for you coming. But well, okay, so back to the salon though and opening your own salon. Was there a moment in time you just decided to take that leap?
So I actually was doing nail art competitions. So like we'll backtrack a little bit.
Hmm.
So I remember being in my first salon and like I got, just whatever clientele was handed to me. And all I wanted to do was nail art because I put that Hello Kitty on my toes. So I know I can do it. Right. And nail art was not a thing back then, like at all. And I remember I had this woman who was like super wealthy, owns like giant business in Northwest Indiana and well, Indiana in general. She's just a very fancy lady. And I talked her into putting a shamrock on her nails for for St. Patrick's Day. And it was so cute. And I was so excited. I got to do a shamrock. She always got a French manicure every single time. And we put a little tiny shamrock. And she called 3 days later and said, "It looks like a booger to me. You have to take it off." And I thought, "You're a crackhead. That's so cute." But then she's just not my lady. Like ideally, like, ooh, somebody with all this expendable income is going to be such a good client. And she's just not my client. And so I started to read nail magazines, and in Japan and like California, nail art was huge. It was like slowly becoming a thing, but everybody did like a party nail where it was like one glitter nail, maybe some stripes. Chevrons were like a big thing back then. And so just looking at these magazines, I noticed there was like a nail art competition and I started to apply for it. And the application process was huge. You had to have like a 5-minute long video explaining why they should pick you. You had to write an essay why they should choose you. And then you had to send like 5 to 10 photos. And then if you got accepted into the competition, it was just as rigorous. It was like Project Runway, but for nails. And so I got accepted into the competition on my third year of auditioning. I had a newborn at the time, and it was a lot of work. So every 10 days, we got a challenge, but every 7 days, there was a challenge due. So it was like boom, boom, boom,
Yeah.
5 to 10 minute long video showing your work and teaching people how to do it, an essay that goes along with it, plus the actual piece of art itself. And the art would take anywhere between 12 and 25 man hours just for the art.
Wow.
And it was every week. And I got cut really early on the first 2 years. The next time I competed, I made it to the top 10. And in 2021, I won third place in the whole entire world. It was a global competition, and I got flown to Miami for like this big, cool award ceremony. I was on TV. Like, it was so cool. And I won this big cash prize. And I always knew I wanted a salon. And now I was just away from two of my children for however long. And I just poured all of this time and energy into these competitions. And so I like kind of looked back on it like, I have the time to put into a salon. And now I have the money to start a salon from winning the competition. And so I took that check and I poured it directly into my salon.
That is so cool. Now we got to update your intro until like third place in the world or third best in the world nail artist. Wow, that's so cool. That's so
Thank
awesome.
you.
So what you do again is it's so creative, especially like how rigorous that competition was. And I mean, my daughter's 2 years old, so I'm not far removed from like the lack of sleep. And you had, I think you mentioned you had multiple children at that point. So like
Throughout the competition, yeah. When I went to Miami, my son was 8 months old, I think, 10 months old. He was little.
Yeah. And so how do you stay creative? Like, where does that come from?
I couldn't tell you. I think it's just part of who I am. I do know that at my core, I'm like kind of a stinker. And so I always want to do something that people aren't doing.
Mhm.
So I remember, like, I mean, even in high school, all the girls were wearing their hair one way. I was like, I'm not doing that. I'm going to wear my hair a different way. And part of like, even with the nail competition, they go like, tell us something about you. And I'm going to grab one and show you. If you're listening, I'll just describe it. But it says, tell me something about you. And this is one of the things that I made. And I said, and this is called word vomit. And you're not supposed to use the word vomit in like a fancy publication, but I did. So it's just like a sparkly mouth of me puking all of these things that I think about myself. Am I not good enough? And will I be misunderstood? There's a question mark because I don't know what to expect. And then I'm going to be sad that I miss family time. So I've always tried to do something weird and different because it's interesting to me to not do the same stuff. And I know in my nail art, somebody will show me an inspiration picture and I'm like, this is cool, but what if we do this instead? I'm always trying to be inspired by what they show me, but kind of like bump it up a little bit. And so, which is where having my ideal clientele is perfect because I know to some person, if I'm like, you show me a picture, but I'm going to do something different, that doesn't sound like the type of nails that they want. And that's okay. I'm not the girl for you.
Yeah.
So
I think will kind of make a circle because you're also an educator. So I do want to come back to that piece that you just said. But where do you find inspiration? Are there any specific places you find inspiration for your designs?
I love buildings and I love fashion. I love textures. I love art. I very rarely get inspiration from other nail art. It's always from a thing. Plants have been the theme this week. I've been painting a lot of really pretty leaves. It's all, again, like not what you expect because I don't want to do what you expect. My brain doesn't want that.
That's so cool. How do you want people to feel when they walk through your salon?
I want you to feel like super excited to be here. I want you to feel comfortable being yourself. I want you to come in either dressed in your like prom dress because that's what you felt like wearing, or I want you to look and smell like a dumpster if that's how you feel that day. I want you to feel like the absolute most you are that day. And when you are in my chair, I want you to feel like loved and welcome and again, the most you can be. That's my favorite is like how individual everybody is. It's super cool.
I love what you said earlier about just like going back to all the people that you work with. And I think then the culture and the vibe that you've created that all, of course, stems from you. And we can, when we talk about like running a business or running a team, essentially, like it all starts from the leader. At the end of the day, it ends with you. It starts and ends with you. Like you are the one. And so, like, for you to say, like, oh my goodness, like I work with so many amazing people, I think that you, of course, have a lot to do with that. So, have you had good mentors along the way that maybe you're inspired by?
I haven't had like any individual people. There's definitely beauty professionals that I follow that like inspire me, I guess. But honestly, like I think it keeps coming back to like it's just me being selfish and I just want to have a good time. That's
Yeah.
all it is. I know that when I first opened the salon, I, obviously like the quicker you get renters, the easier it is to pay your bills and have fun with your fun money. Didn't have any fun money when I first opened the salon. So I did take on some people that just weren't a perfect fit. And I did get better at picking people that like filled my cup and that I knew were going to be really happy here. But I think I forgot what your question was. So
No, you
started
definitely
losing it.
answered the question.
Okay.
Yeah, that's I resonate a lot with that because I think I've taken bits and pieces from somebody, but if I always have, it's always hard for me to answer the question of like, who do you look up to? And I don't have like a person. There's like multiple things about certain people.
Yeah. There's one person in particular that I can think of. She was like the founder of CND and CND like created gel polish. So CND essentially is like the reason that I am able to have this career. And I met her through nail competition. She was a head judge. She was the one that flew me out to Miami. She's like flown me out to LA to do jobs and stuff too. And she is this like art loving, quirky, super fun woman. And she genuinely loves the nail industry and is so good at seeing people's like superpower and lifting them up. Her name is Jan Arnold, and she's so cool. She's one of the most awesome, genuine humans I have come in contact with. And yeah, so she's like a big inspiration. There's another girl, Beth Lindsay. She was the chief editor for the magazine that was hosting the competition. She's always been like a cheerleader. Even when I was like having a hard time, I would message her and be like, oh my God, what am I going to do? And she just always would say the right thing to make me feel good. And so those two girls have breathed life into me when I really needed it.
That sounds like, especially the person you were just talking about, how she's very welcoming and just like accepts you as you are and very warm. For me, and just knowing just as much about you as I do, and we've talked here and there, but that's how I feel like that's the atmosphere you're creating too and the vibe. That's what it seems like in your salon. And especially like when you say like, please come in your prom dress or please come smelling like a dumpster. It's like you accept everyone for who they are. Because I also think too, like as someone who isn't in this world at all, and I'm not, I'm consistent with like getting the basics done of beauty industry, but there are times where I feel like there are certain salons where you don't feel like you're dressed the part or you look the part or you are a certain age or I've definitely been in those things. I actually, when I lived in Chicago, I definitely felt that, especially because, you're in a city and it was hard to find not only people, but a salon where I actually felt comfortable in. And I think like the beauty industry as a whole, at least in my eyes, as a consumer and not as anyone who has ever worked in one, it can be daunting to find a new salon or find a new person when your person retires or moves or stops doing what they're doing. And it's so nice when you do find that place where you are just accepted for who you are.
Yeah. Yeah, I've worked in a couple salons that, like I said, I thought it was the right fit and it just wasn't. And I just knew that I wanted something where everybody felt good working here and getting services done here. I actually had a girl who would have, in my mind, been like an awesome fit to work here. And she ended up turning down the spot. And she told me, she's like, you said you want me to be obsessed with coming to work. And she's like, I think I would like it. I don't think I would be obsessed with it. And I was like, that's totally fair. And now that girl owns her own studio and she's doing like, what I did back then. And I'm like, well, of course you don't belong here because you belong building your own thing. Like, how cool is that?
That's so cool. That's so cool that you had that conversation, that moment with that person, because that conversation probably then like made her think of like, oh yeah, this is my path. This isn't my path. I don't need to work for somebody. I need to work for myself.
Yeah.
I love that. So being like a creative, what you do is so creative, but then you have the business owner side of it where it's not as creative. What is the biggest challenge of owning the salon on the business side?
Honestly, the biggest challenge is understanding, like, what am I supposed to do? I have to have a permit for what? I need to have a lawyer for like contract stuff. I have to sign. How do I sign a contract? I have to open up bank account. Like all these like logistic things that just aren't fun for me. That stuff is challenging and I'm super grateful. I have like such a supportive husband and he's so much better at those things than I am. So he's helped me. And I've also, like reached out to people that own businesses, followed different business owner accounts. Like ChatGPT is one of my best friends forever to understand that I'm doing everything correctly. And then I also am pretty good at forgiving myself when I make a mistake because I'm a professional mistake maker in all things in life, not just my business. And so when I screw up, I'm like, okay, well, we're not going to do that again. Let's just do better next time and just keep moving forward.
Mm-hmm. Do you find that it's hard to switch during the day between artist and business owner?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And a business owner is awake at like between like 9 o'clock and midnight when I'm lying in my bed. That's when I'm a business owner. And then I'm a mom and a nail artist and a wife and a friend during the daytime when my brain is like actually turned on.
Yeah, yeah. And I think it's just it's such a huge pendulum swing from one way to another. How do you navigate that sometimes? Like, do you have boundaries when it comes to those things?
I try really hard to have boundaries, yes, and I'm getting better at them every day, a little bit better. I remember, well, so you and I met at Big Sister Hour at an event, and at one of the Big Sister Hour events, it was like 7:30 in the evening, and I was on my phone texting a client about an appointment, and the girl across from me, she said something, and I go, "Oh, sorry, I'm just responding to a client." And she goes, "Now?" And I was like, "Yeah. Oh, oh, we don't do that at night. Oh, okay." Again, I didn't know. I've always just responded to my clients because I genuinely love my job and I genuinely love my clients. Like they're wonderful, wonderful people. But like, yeah, no, I'm not working right now. I shouldn't be working, right? That's regular to not work, right? So the boundaries are getting there and I'm learning.
Have you ever actually burnt out?
Yes. In 2021, when I did the competition and I was working full time and I had two small children, it was a lot. And my husband and I had a long conversation about logistics and bills and stuff. And I dropped down to only taking maybe two clients a week so I could pay my booth rent. That's the only bill I was in charge of. And that was like, like maybe a month-long process. But it was because I knew, like at that point I was like in the top 5 in the competition and I'd been trying for years and years and years. And it was like I could taste it that I was going to make it far. So I just took time off and I came back like so much more jazzed. And so after that very extreme burnout, I am more attuned to sensing when burnout is coming. It doesn't take me until I am on like the verge of melting down completely to realize that, oh, I need to calm down. And so I have been making sure that I schedule a day off and I actually don't put clients on that day. Like I said, that's one of the things I struggle with because I just love my job and I forget to take care of myself sometimes. So I have to schedule self-care time and I have to like super block off and protect at least one day a week off. And it's been working pretty good.
Yeah. And I think a lot of times when I feel like every business owner has a story about burning out. I definitely do. And we don't realize how much stress actually is existent in our lives until we actually feel it. when I think like when we burn out, we realize it's like, oh yeah, this has been happening for a really long time. And I've just like
Mhm.
ignored it. You only recognize it when it's like physically right in front of you. But I think like then when you come back from it, you sense those things and kind of like what you said, it's a work in progress. Like we don't have to have perfect boundaries. I know that I also let it slip where I'm responding to people or emails at 10:30 at night sometimes, but like for me, I know now I'm not making a habit of it. And so like there are some days where they are very busy or maybe something happens during the day that I can't get to an email or a client message and I need to respond back to them. So I let myself be okay with that as long as I'm not doing it all of the time. And so, I do have my strict boundaries where I'm like, okay, like I'm not going to respond to this or I'm not going to do this work. And I think like last night I even like sat down to do work and I started to like do something like complex and kind of like just draw out a diagram for a client and my brain just wasn't in it. And I'm like, I'm not going to power through this. This is not okay. I'm just going to go to sleep. Like I'm going to go to bed early. Like my brain for whatever reason isn't in there. And I think I would never have done that if I didn't burn out a few years ago. Like, I would never have recognized that. And I know that it's okay to just like, nope, I'm going to go do this thing, or I'm going to go to sleep, or I'm going to go take a nap, or go for a walk, whatever it is. And I think as a business owner, regardless of the industry you're in, like you have busy seasons. You have very crazy busy seasons, like you mentioned during the holidays, or maybe summertime and vacations, or spring break, prom, that kind of thing. And I think it's very easy to overcommit. But then again, if you've had that burnout, you kind of know like I know what not to do this time around.
Yeah, I think that it's like getting better at forgiving yourself and doing better next time is
Yeah.
like a big thing that I've had to work on like in later years in my career.
I love that you said forgiving yourself because I think, again, as business owners, we are very hard on ourselves and forgiving
Sure.
yourself is huge. But I wanted to come back to you're also an educator. So, of all the hats you wear, you also educate other nail techs. So, what is like the balance, I guess, of your week? I think that we've talked in earlier conversations and you can share in this podcast, but like, are you taking on clients still? Like, are you doing, nail art, which I know you are a little bit, but you have the salon, you're working on maybe potentially expanding it maybe one day or whatever that looks like. But then you also have the education side of it.
So the education side of it started with so many people that would come to me would be just astounded that their nails weren't in pain when they were done, that their nails stayed on for, for all the way to like 6 or 7 weeks, like some crazy long time. Some people go in between manicures. They were astounded that their crystals stayed on their nails and they were like, this isn't normal. This isn't normal. And I thinking like, well, it should be. And then also early on in my career, I kept getting a bunch of no's because people said like getting your nails done ruins your nails. And that's not true. A bad nail tech might ruin your nails. You not being a good nail mommy is going to ruin your nails. If I'm good at my job, that's not going to ruin your nails. So, me starting to teach stemmed from that. And because I went to school for hair, so I had to travel for nail classes because we live near Chicago, but there was like no nail classes in Chicago. I was traveling to Michigan and Ohio to take nail classes. And so, yeah, I started teaching because of that. And at this point, I am in the middle of like trying to, I guess, center everything because I, again, know what the burnout looks like. And I know that if I just teach everything and do everything, that I'm going to get so pooped out, my brain is going to turn into soup. So I am creating a really intentional mentorship program and I will still be doing some nail classes teaching actual nail skills. So I feel like if people ask me, then it's like a case by case basis right now. But I do plan on having something like formal to offer people. And I'm going to set it up the same way. So like on when you want to be a new client with me, you have to book online. You have to read all of the service descriptions, just see if we're a right fit. I'm goofy and I cuss in my service menu. So I make sure that that's the type of girl that's going to do your nails. I don't want some super stuffy lady that thinks a shamrock looks like a booger sitting in my chair. So I want to be intentional about that with potential students as well. and I am doing 55 million things right now, and I'm protecting my time because my kids are on summer break and I love them more than I love anything. So I am going to offer that when the time is right.
I love that. And I'm super excited for that because that's crazy to me. Like, even just Chicago being as big of a city it is, like, there's nothing that you could have gone and learned from. And you really have to, like, kind of fend for yourself to find these educational classes.
Yeah. And I mean, back then it was 13 years ago. So there are more and more education opportunities. Unfortunately, not all of it is awesome. I want to be really intentional with what I offer. And my heart is honestly in like empowering nail professionals to be independent and to like live this wonderful life that I'm living. So right now, at least I'm feeling like it's more going to be like mentorship route with like a sprinkle of nail skills. But like I said, I'm going to do what feels the best for me. I do know that if I'm being like a smart business lady, I should just teach nail skills because everybody asks me to learn nail skills. But if I'm being true to what's in my heart, I want to find people with like a decent amount of skill and then elevate that and then also help you with like your boundaries and help you with your policies and your service menu and like fine tune to where you can make a bunch of money and have a wonderful like work life balance.
I love that so much. So, with that, then, what would you say to someone who wants to go down this route? Like, what are like the top advice things, items, things to look for someone could learn if they want to go down the nail route?
So I would first really look into, is your heart in it? Because this is a physical job, right? I'm sitting, holding your hand, doing your nails forever and ever and ever, over and over, client after client. So you have to really be into it. It can't be like, this looks super fun on the internet. It is really fun, but like it's so much work to have the fun. So are you ready to put in the work? And then also, like, commission salons are wonderful for the people that belong in a commission salon. So if you really want to do nails, but you don't want to do that hard work, the commission salons are great. Like, go there and do that. And then, I mean, lastly, like, unfortunately, nail school kind of sucks around here. At least, like, there's not one that I've heard raving reviews across the board about. So in my opinion, go to nail school wherever you can afford and wherever you can fit in the time. Get your license and understand that you know nothing when you get out of school. And that's the same for beauty school too. You're just like, you don't know anything. You're going to have to learn on the job and look for mentors, classes, stuff like that, and always be willing to learn more. I'm in a class right now. I just finished a class in the fall and I'm in another class right now. I think that if you have that drive, then the fun is gonna come along too.
I
But you
love
have to
that.
have the drive.
Yeah, you have to have the drive, and it might not be as different as like purpose or, but like you have to have a why behind it because kind of like what you said, like you are doing this for hours on end, like hours on end. You are there to provide a very good service. You can't phone it in. You can't just like show up and be like, I don't feel good today, mentally. And I think that goes again for every business and possibly every service provider, or it's just how you take care of yourself matters for the success of you and your business. And that's not just like, oh, I drank water today. It's like, no, like the boundaries you talked about, or saying no to things, or being like in alignment for what you do want to do. And it is so important to find that. And if you want to keep learning, that's great. If you want to keep pivoting, that's great too. But as long as you keep finding that thing that's really going to like matter to you, like that's what it's about. But yeah, it's demanding from what you said, and just you have to take care of yourself physically, mentally, emotionally too.
Yeah. And I think that part of what makes the nail artist that people see or beauty professionals, service providers, any service provider, if you have a service provider that you are, wow, that girl is killing it. She's so happy in her job. Like, look at her go. She's probably worked really hard to get that ideal client in her chair. It's not just like, let me cast this wide net and take whoever sits down. I mean, initially, sure. But I think that it takes time to hone in on those ideal clients that are just right for you. I mean, there's like, you don't want like an energy vampire sucking the soul out of you if you're painting something crazy on her nails for 3 hours. Like, that sucks. But that person might be an awesome fit for this other girl who loves energy vampires. So, yeah, I think being happy is a huge thing in this career, especially if you're creative. Like, your brain needs to be happy for you to have longevity in this.
And just show up as your best self too.
Yeah.
Oh, I love all of this. Thank you for this conversation. This was so cool. And I loved getting to know more about your background. Tell us where we can connect with you.
Okay, so I am Ooh Nice Nails on the internet, OOH Nice Nails. My salon is called The Dollhouse NWI, and I am on Instagram mostly. Technically, I have a Facebook, but like,
Yeah, same.
just because I'm like supposed to have a Facebook. So if you want to link up with me, it's on Instagram, or you can book online. I have the salon linked and my personal booking site linked through my Instagram as well. And then my wonderful people that I was crying about, they are all linked on the Dollhouse page too, and they all book individually as well. All of us are independent artists.
And just keep an eye out for, like, if you do want to pursue this job, this career, you will have like a program or just like a container where people can join and learn from you as well, coming soon.
Yes, that's going to be on my Ooh Nice Nails website soonish.
Maybe by the time this episode comes out, it might be out by then. So we'll see.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I'm literally working on it. So when it's done, it'll be posted and I'll tell you about it.
Yep. And as we always say at the end of these episodes, everything will be linked in the show notes, guys. So Instagram, your Facebook page, and your website as well, your booking link. But thank you so much, Jess. This was so nice. And she will be back this Friday with a Business Chaser episode, and we're all excited to hear more from her. So make sure you tune in Friday and we'll hear from her.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Business Over Cocktails, where real stories and bold business moves come to life. If this episode lit something up in you, share it with a friend, tag me at Lauren Najar or the podcast page at Business Over Cocktails. Make sure to leave a quick review as well. It helps more than you know. Until next time, keep chasing what matters and building the business that feels like you. Cheers.